hear from you. Send us your views, comments, and videos with your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV. It just gets better.
At Spar, we're giving thousands of customers 50% off their shopping instantly. Simply buy any participating product and swipe your Spar Rewards card at the till to enter. And you could get half your shopping for free. Plus, get great deals like Knorr packet soup for just $4.29 and Spar smooth fruit or double cream yogurt for only $21.99. Spar, here for the savings, here for you.
Enjoy these fantastic payday savings at Clicks until 6 August. Buy Yardley body spray for women 90 mils 2 for $54. Buy Pampers baby dry disposable nappies jumbo packs, now $2 $25.99 per pack. And buy Nivea lotion or cream 400 mils 2 for $75. Buy Omo auto washing powder 2 kgs 2 for $102. Clicks, feel good, pay less.
Okay guys, today we're going to talk about fractions. That's like everybody's favorite piece in math. People love fractions, yes. So when we talk about fractions, what do we know about fractions? We're all fully aware of fractions must have a numerator and a denominator, yes. Okay, so now that we know that, let's have a quick overview on fractions. We're going to talk about how do we simplify fractions? Okay, to write a fraction in its simplest form, let's have a look at this fraction. If I write 27 over 63, okay, everybody can see my 27 over 63. How will I be able to write this fraction in its simplest form? For me to be able to write 27 over 63 in its simplest form, I need to see what is the highest number I can divide my numerator and denominator by. Everybody agreed? Okay, in this instance, if I divide 27 by 9 and 63 by 9, what would my answer be? I know if I divide 27 by 9, my answer is 3. And if I divide 63 by 9, my answer will be 7. Everybody agreed? Anybody does not agree with this? Anyone thinks we can simplify it further? No. So this will be the simplest form of this particular fraction. Okay. So in this instance, the highest common fraction or the highest common fraction is 9. And so I've divided my numerator and denominator both by 9. And therefore, my answer is 3 over 7. Now, what happens if I want to now add or subtract fractions? Okay, so I can add and subtract fractions with the same denominator. We simply have to add or subtract the numerator. So if I have a fraction that has the same denominator, all I'm doing is adding or subtracting the numerator. Everybody agrees with that? Okay, cool. So let's do something that adds and subtracts with that. So I'm going to write 3 over 7 plus 4 over 9. Now, how will I work that out? How will I add these two fractions? Okay, so firstly, the denominators are the same, and I need to get my denominator to be the same. So what will I do first? First, I multiply 7 times 9, and 7 times 9 is 63. Then I say 3 times 9, and 3 times 9 is 27. Then I say, well, we've got our denominator. Then I say 4 multiplied by 7. And 4 multiplied by 7 is going to give me 28. And so I add these two up, and 27 and 28 is 27 plus 28 is going to give me 55 over 63. So if I have to add up, if I have to add fractions, I have to first start off by making sure that the denominators are the same. Well, that applies for adding or subtracting. Which one are you referring to? Which one should be 36? Does everybody agree that 4 multiplied by 7 is 28? And 3 multiplied by 9 is 27. And 7 times 9 is 63. Everybody on the same page? Super. Now, to multiply, that is to add or subtract. So when we're adding or subtracting fractions, the first thing we need to make sure is that our denominators are the same, and then we add and subtract our numerators. Everybody got that? Okay. Okay, cool. So now, how do we multiply these fractions? Okay, to multiply fractions, we multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators. Okay, everybody in agreement? Or let's have a look. So let's see if I say 3 over 4 multiplied by 16 over 27. Now, to keep the calculation simple, we look for the common factors and we cancel these out before multiplying. So what must we do then? We say 4 times 4 is going to give me 16, yeah? And 3 times what's going to give me 27? 3 times 9 is going to give me 27. Therefore, to multiply this or to work this out, my answer will be 4 over 9. That's all you have to do. You say, what do I multiply by 3 to give me the 27? What do I multiply by the 4 to give me the 16? And that would be our answer. Okay, super. Now, we've done adding and subtraction and multiplication. They all seem pretty straightforward. We know when we're adding or subtracting of fractions, we must always make sure that our numerator is correct, is the same. They are the same. And when we are multiplying, we know we have to first cancel out to look for the common fraction, and before we even start to multiply. So once we get our highest common fraction, we can work out our answer. Okay, now what about dividing? When we dividing fractions, we need to multiply. Guys, for example, if I'm dividing 1 over 7, it is the same as me just dividing by 7. Does everybody agree? So if I was dividing by, so if I had an example like 4 over 5 divided by 2 over 25, what should I be doing? Okay, firstly, what will I be doing? Anybody has an answer for what I should be doing? Okay, so I will firstly say 5 divided by 25. What is 5 divided by 25? And my denominator should be 5 because 5 times 5 is 25. Then what should I do? Sorry, not 10. What am I doing? Yes, the next thing we swap is upside down. Sorry, first guys, I just want to clear this. I don't know why I wrote it's supposed to be 5. Okay, then it is 5, and I put 4 over 5, and then I swap it around and I put the 25 on the top and I put the 2 in the bottom. Agreed. So then I divide by 2 and I divide by 5, therefore giving me my answer of 10. Quite correct. Okay, so everybody seems to be understanding. So you understand you need to swap it, and then you multiply it, and then you get your answer. So guys, we've worked with multiplication, we've worked with division, we've worked with addition, and we've worked with subtraction. Okay, now let's work a few examples together to see whether we understand what we have learned so far. So if I go 54 over 72, okay, what will my answer be? How will I work this? How will I make this firstly the simplest, in its simplest form? So let's do two simplest forms. So let's do 54 over 72 and 36 over 108. What is the highest common factor for both these numbers? What is the highest number I can divide 54 by and 72 by? Okay, if I divide 54 by 9 and I divide 72 by 9, my answer should be 54 divided by 9 should be 6, and 72 divided by 9 should be 8. And therefore, to simplify it further, I divide by 2. So I divide by 2 and I divide by 2. Okay, that's quite right. You could go 16 if you wanted to, but I've just decided to go a slightly longer route, and your answer should be 3 over 4. Do you all get the same answer as 3 over 4? Anybody else does not get 3 over 4? Okay, so our answer should then be 3 over 4. Now let's do 36 over 108. What do I need to divide 36 and 108 by to get my answer? The highest common factor here is if I divide by 36 and 36. Yes, quite correct. Good, guys. So if I divide by 36 and 36, my answer should be 1 over 3. Does everybody have 1 over 3? Cool. So guys, that's how we work out the simplest form. We see what is the highest common factor that can go into our numerator and denominator, and then we work it out. Sometimes we have to go a step or two more, but we will always come to the simplest form. Okay. Now, let's do some additions. Okay, so let's do adding. So we're going to say 3 over 11, excuse me, plus 4 over 11. And what will our answer be? Firstly, guys, this is quite straightforward. We have a denominator that's the same. And when you have a denominator that's the same, it kind of makes life so much more easier. So we're basically going to say that. Okay. So your answer, yes, guys, you're quite correct. Your answer, therefore, is 7 over 11. Did everybody get that answer? Awesome. Okay, let's do another, let's do a subtraction. Let's say 14 over 27 minus 12 over 37. Okay, once again, the benefit of having the same denominator helps, and all we need to do is therefore work it out over there, and we say 14 minus 12 is equal to 2 over 37. Yay, you guys are awesome. Okay, so everybody gets that. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do 1 over 3 minus 1 over 6. Okay, let's not do one more. Let's do more than one more. Why should we do one more? And let's do 1 over 2 minus 1 over 10. What will I do with this? Because guys, remember, these denominators are not the same like we've worked at our previous example. So what should we do? Okay. For me to work out my the lowest common denominator, how will I do that? Your answer is quite correct, but how do we get to that? What must I do? Yes, the answer is the answer is quite correct, but how do I get to that? Firstly, I need to multiply. Sorry, something's happened to my pen. Oops. Sorry guys. Something's just happened to my pen. It's decided to stop working. Okay, there we go. I need to multiply by 2 and multiply by 2. And if I multiply 1 by 2, my answer will be 2. And 3 times 2 is 6 minus 1 over 6. You agreed with me? 2 minus 1 is 1, and then the denominator stays the same. So that was quite straightforward. Okay, let's work out the next one. So the answer here is basically 1 over 6. So 1 over 2 minus 1 over 10. What will I do here? Okay, my denominator is 10. So I'm going to multiply by 5, multiply by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10 minus 1 over 10. And 5 minus 1 is 4, and our denominators are the same. So our answer will be 4 over 10. Okay. Anybody unsure of what we're doing? Okay, let's do 2 more examples. Let's do okay, let's do 2 simple ones. Let's go 2 over 6. No, we've done that one. Let's go. Anybody has one that you want to share? Okay. Since nobody wants to share anything, guys, let's quickly recap of everything we learned today. We learned that in fractions, there must be a numerator and there must be a denominator. Everybody agrees. There must be a numerator and there must be a denominator. And we know that in order for us to be able to minus or add fractions, we need to know the denominator needs to be the same. Everybody agrees. Okay? Whether we're adding or subtracting, the denominator needs to be the same. But what did we learn about when we are doing multiplications? Okay, we know when we're multiplying, we keep the fractions simple, we look for the common fractions, and we cancel out. Okay, and the same applies with division. Okay, when we're working with division, we keep it simple, we find the lowest common denominator, and we actually cancel out and get our answer.
Finding the LCD. So, LCD is a term that I'm sure all of you would have heard of, and it stands for lowest, which is where the L comes from, common, where the C comes from, and then denominator. And denominator is why you have a D. So LCD is the lowest common denominator. And then let's say that you have a fraction, so maybe x over y, remember that the bottom component of the fraction is your denominator. So let's just quickly go through a quick example. The question says, what is the LCD, or the lowest common denominator, of x over 6 equals x plus 3 over 4? So your denominators on either side of the equation are 6 and 4. We need to find the lowest common denominator. So start listing your 4 times table. So 4, 8, 12, 16, and it goes on. And then your 6 times table is 6, 12, 18, and so on. Now, what do you notice? You notice that you've got a 12 here and a 12 here. So 12 is your lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator is 12. Now, the reason that we would want to do this is it will help us solve the equation. So what we have to do is we have to make 6 into 12, and we also have to make 4 into 12. So how would we do that? So let's write our equation out. X over 6 equals x plus 3 over 4. So how do we get 6 to 12? Well, we times this by 2, and then what we do to the bottom, we must also do to the top. And then we need to get 4 to 12. How do we do that? Well, we times the bottom by 3, and then we times the top by 3 as well. But now be very careful. You have to times x plus 3 in its entirety by 3. So you put this in brackets, and then you go times 3. So x times 2 is 2x. 6 times 2 is 12. And then we have x plus 3 in brackets times by 3. So you have to take this 3 and distribute it into the plus 3 and into the x. So that gives you 3x, because 3 times x is 3x. And then plus 9, because positive 3 times positive 3 is positive 9, which you see here. And then 4 times 3 is 12. So can you see we have the same equation? In other words, x over 6 equals x plus 3 over 4 is the same as saying 2x over 12 equals 3x plus 9 over 12. The only difference is that now we have the same denominators. In particular, we have the lowest common denominator on both sides. We are now going to look at some things that you need to remember when you are solving equations that deal with fractions. So, the first thing, whenever you have equations with fractions, you need to try to find the lowest common denominator. So, that's the first thing that you need to remember. The second thing that you need to remember is that in mathematics, you cannot divide by 0. So, for example, you know that 6 divided by 0 is not allowed, or maybe 7 divided by 0 or 7 over 0, it's the same thing, that is also not allowed. And then number 3, whenever you are solving equations with fractions, you need to think about restrictions. So we're going to look at what I mean by restrictions. Now, let's say you have an equation with fractions. So maybe your teacher asks you to solve 6 over x minus 3 is equal to 70 over x. Now, firstly, you can see that you have a fraction here, and you have a fraction here in this equation. Now, what's also very important to know is that in these fractions, the unknown variable that you're trying to solve for, x, is in the denominator, and you can see that on both sides. Now, whenever the unknown variable is in the denominator, you need to think about restrictions. So restrictions are values that x is not allowed to take, because if x takes the restricted value, you're going to be dividing by naught. So in this equation, for example, x is not allowed to equal 0. And this sign here means not equal to. So x can't be equal to 0, and this is a restriction. Because think about it. If x is equal to 0, you are going to be going 6 over 0 and 70 over 0. Now remember, point 2 says you can't divide by 0, so that's not allowed, and that's not allowed. So again, this is why when x or any other variable that is unknown is in a denominator of a fraction, you need to think about restrictions. And we're going to look at that later on.
Sipike peni